السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد. Inshallah, we continue with our lessons of Ahkam al-Siyam and what to do with Ramadan, including itikaf, inshallah. And we've reached Mustahabbat al-Siyam wa makruhatuhu. Mustahabbat means those things that are mustahab, plural of mustahab, which means recommended. And makruhat means those things that are makruh, disliked, and that is the plural of makruh. So due to the fact that we have quite a lot to cover today, I will try my best to not make it too much. The first one is mustahabbatus siyam. Of course, when we fast, we have certain things that are mustahab. First of all, suhoor. It's okay to do fasting without suhoor, and suhoor is the meal that we have, as you know, before we start the fast. But it's preferable because the Prophet ﷺ said, تَسَحَّرُوا فَإِنَّ فِي السُّحُورِ أَوْ فِي السَّحُورِ بَرَكَةً. Do suhoor because there is barakah, blessing in the suhoor. Even if you just take some water with the intention of suhoor. The second thing that's preferable is to make the suhoor as close to Fajr as possible, because maybe you may miss Jama'ah of Fajr if you make it too close, but as close as possible, as the Sahaba used to do. And they used to say that between the Iqamah, the prayer being started, and Suhoor, they used to have something like 50 ayat. 50 ayat, if you read it, maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on the ayat. Third is not to delay the iftar or futur or fitr, meaning to make it as soon as the sun has set. And it was mentioned before that setting of the sun means ghurub al-shams in Arabic, means that the whole disk of the sun must not be seen by us. So if it's not seen, and generally people go by timetables, that's fine as long as there's no huge difference. Generally timetables are okay. The Prophet ﷺ said the people will be on khair, la yazalu nasu bi khair ma ajjalul fitr, as long as they do not delay fitr. Because some people, like the people of the scripture and some sects of Islam, they delay iftar until almost Isha. So it goes against the sunnah. Even if you don't have food to, for example, you're traveling, you forgot to take some food, and it's time of iftar, or you're traveling and the travel got delayed. You thought you'd arrive before iftar, but you didn't, and you don't have any food. So the intention is enough. The intention of you breaking the fast is enough to break the fast. Number 4, iftar ala rutabat, meaning to try and break the fast with fresh dates, and if you can't, then with dry dates, which we call tamr. And if it's witr, then it's okay, odd number of dates, because the Prophet ﷺ used to do that. He would also eat a little bit. There are 2 madhabs among the Sahaba, 2 ways. One is to eat the whole meal and delay Maghrib, and one is to eat a little bit and then pray Maghrib, then eat a larger meal. And that second one, as Aisha said, is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. The other one is not haram, but if it makes you miss the jama'ah, the congregation, then at least it's makruh, and at most it can be haram. Depends if the person considers jama'ah wajib or not. The majority of ulama don't consider it wajib. But looking at the fitna we are in, every day we see, every minute almost, we see naked, half-naked women. So it's better to come to jama'ah. And Allah said to us about dressed women to do ghaddul basar. The women who are in hijab, not to look at them. And if you look at others, I don't know, maybe you have to fast again. So it's better to come to Jama'ah. And how much tired we are, it's better to come to Jama'ah. So it's better to do iftar with few dates and then, or something like this, samosas and things, people do light stuff, and then pray Maghrib and then come for the meal. Number 5 is dua in Dal Fitr. It's preferable to make dua, supplication, because the Prophet ﷺ said, ثلاثة لا ترد دعوتهم. 3 people, their dua is not, da'wah and dua both the same. So if you sometimes hear dua, sometimes da'wah, it means calling in the language, but in Sharia it means to call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3 people, their dua is not rejected. As-sa'imu hatta yuftir, the praying person until he breaks the fast. This shows that throughout the day you can make dua, not only at the time of iftar. So you can make dua throughout the day, as long as you're fasting. وَالْإِمَامُ الْعَادِلِ, and the ruler who is just. وَالْمَظْلُومُ, Mazlum means, as you know, someone who's been done dhulm to, injustice, oppression, and that's why we should be scared of dhulm. Because even a kafir, a non-Muslim, if you do dhulm to, and he says, may Allah not do this, or he makes or she dua to Allah, Allah will answer it. Number 6 from the mustahabbat of siyam, al-ikthar min as-sadaqa wa tilawat al-Quran wa taftir al-sa'imin wa sa'iri a'mal al-birr. To do as much as possible of sadaqah, and one of the greatest sadaqah you can do is to try and support the masajid and the mosques and Islamic centers in the non-Muslim countries, like we have in the UK, and of course help the needy, to recite the Quran as much as possible, to help fasting people break their fast as much as possible, and other good deeds. Because of the hadith that we find in Bukhari and Muslim, that Ibn Abbas said that the Prophet ﷺ was the most generous of all people, and he used to be even more generous in Ramadan, when Jibril used to meet him. So this shows that when you meet good people, when you meet people who know the Quran, because nowadays we have a very strange culture, to be honest with you, not only in non-Muslim countries, but even in Muslim countries. Someone memorizes Quran and he becomes like a mentally ill person. What do I mean? He doesn't say salam to anyone. What's wrong with you? Before you memorized Quran, you were a nice boy. What's happened to you? He memorized Quran, now he's walking like this. Something is wrong. There is a mine there. There is a mine here. He sees you from close, then he turns away. What am I? Lamp post? You're supposed to say salam. So this is not correct. This is not akhlaqul Quran and akhlaqul ahlil Quran. That's not to mention if he memorized hadith, Allahu Akbar. Then forget it. This we're talking only he memorized Quran. If he memorized hadith and fiqh and lugha, Allahu Akbar, that's it. You will not see him. You will not hear. This is not culture of Islam, ikhwan. You're supposed, the more you memorize Quran and the better, like the Prophet ﷺ, the closer you get to Allah. Jibril just came from Allah, brought him some Quran. And when he meets Jibril, he becomes better, more generous with his time, with his everything. Not like you learn Quran and you become like a zombie, you don't see anyone. It's not correct. And if you don't like it, then you don't like what the Prophet ﷺ used to be like. Because Allah told him off, as you know, and I say it all the time. Abasa wa tawalla. All we know this surah. Abasa wa tawalla. He frowned and turned away. 10 ayat Allah said about because the blind man came and so on. And he's telling off the Prophet ﷺ, who only did it once, ikhwan. We have brothers who constantly for 10 years ignore you. What is this? This is akhlaqul Quran. They don't say, you haven't seen them. Some brothers I meet, and I told you before in our classes, I meet them, they're like my children. My son Imran, 22. I know I don't look very old, but I'm very old. Anyway, يعني you meet them, they haven't reached 20 yet. He behaved like big sheikh. Even if you're a big sheikh, behave like a big sheikh, like the Prophet ﷺ. He's the biggest sheikh. Yani be humble. You don't see them for 1 year, 2, 3 years. Assalamu alaikum. You right, brother? Ya akhi, I saw you yesterday. I haven't seen you for a few years. Do something unusual. This is not culture of Islam, ikhwan. This is even not culture of the West. Yani, if you have a non-Muslim who hasn't seen you for so many, your neighbor, for example. My neighbor is a Hindu. One side Hindu, one side, I don't know, I think Slovakian or some Eastern European people. If they don't see me for 6 months, they, oh, we haven't seen you. Non-Muslim. Yeah. I meet someone in the masjid, very cold. Assalamu alaikum. All right, brother. MashaAllah. You don't even know what to say. Like. So this is not the akhlaq of the Prophet ﷺ. He used to take someone by hand, by shoulder, by this, by that, hug them, carry some of them, joke with them, try to make them feel happy. Allah loves you, I love you, inni uhibbuk. Now if you say, I love you, say, brother, don't say it aloud. Someone might think something, you know. Yeah, of course, if you're sick, you will think something. But if your heart is clean, you will not think anything. So we have to look at this, and Jibreel come to him and he becomes better. He gives too much. Even Anas said he was never asked anything and he said no. Meaning he doesn't like to say no. He's that kind. He's that generous. Alayhi salatu wassalam. And why does Ibn Abbas use min al-rih al-mursala? He's more generous than a wind sent by Allah. What does the wind bring? Goodness, rain, everything. What benefits us? It used to be from the custom of the Arabs and the Muslims. If you like something, for example, someone comes to me and says, I like your pen. They would give it to him. Today I said to one brother in the masjid, I went to pray Jum'ah. MashaAllah, I said, brother, you have nice thawb. He said, brother, I will bring you one. From where he comes. I said, no, just I wanted to compliment you on the thawb. So this is nice. This is the generosity. And it should become our habit as much as we can. And in Ramadan especially. So number 7, al-ijtihad fi salatil layl. As much as possible, we should do ijtihad, try to pray salatul layl. And tarawih, we call it in Ramadan, salatul layl. So we should try. It's not easy, but we should try. Some people find more strength, less. Like I said many times, in European countries, Northern Europe, very hard because the iftar is very late, suhoor is very early, so you have a few hours of the night. It's very difficult to fast. You become weak because you don't drink, eat for maybe 18, 19, in some countries like Iceland, 20 hours. So it's very difficult to do. So for that reason, you should try and do, and the imams, of course, should be also considerate. They're not near the Kaaba, they're in the north of Europe. Especially in the last 10 nights. Because we have a hadith, as you know, whoever stand in Salah in Ramadan, then he will, imanan wa ihtisaban, believing that it's from the deen, and expecting ajr, then he will have his previous sins forgiven. And also we have the hadith that when the last 10 days used to arrive, the Prophet ﷺ would tighten his belt, would wake up his wives, and he would ahya al-layl, means that he would stay awake all night. It's not an obligation, of course, but we should try. It's trying to look for Laylatul Qadr. And Laylatul Qadr, the correct opinion is that it's not the 27th. It moves around year on year, because we have a hadith, it was the 21st. We have a hadith, it was the 23rd. that in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So this shows it moves around. We have a hadith 27th. So it moves around. And it can even be in the odd numbers sometimes. So we should try and look for it as much as possible. Another thing that is preferable is to do Umrah in Ramadan because it's like Hajj. And another thing is to say in Nisa'im, that was mentioned before, I'm a fasting person. If someone abuses you or tries even to fight you, which is very difficult to do. This teaches us to stay calm and try and control ourselves as much as we can. Things that are makruhat, not good and disliked, and they reduce the ajr, the reward of the fasting. First of all, to do too much madmada, which is to rinse the mouth. Istinshaq is to breathe in water to clean the nose. It's called in Arabic istinshaq. To remove that water from the nose is istinthar. So the Prophet ﷺ said to a Sahabi named Laqit bin Sabra, because he came asking him about his wife. Then when he saw his answering and he's very happy, he asked him more questions. So he asked him about wudu as well, and this has a number of riwayat, this hadith. He said to him, وَبَالِغْ فِي الْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا. Try to do more, as much as possible, istinshaq, except if you are fasting. So that shows that when we use normally the water, when we are not fasting, for example at night, we shouldn't just smell it or wet the beginning of the nose. That's not istinshaq really. Because all the hadith say istinshaq, not to wet the nose. Because some people I see they do wudu, they wet the nose. That's not enough. It's not wudu properly. And the mouth and nose part of the face, and Allah said to wash the face. So the Prophet ﷺ said to do istinshaq, to breathe in. And when we are fasting during the day, we should be careful. And this hadith is one of the proofs that the scholars use to have warah, to stay away from things that can lead to haram. Because it's not for sure that if we do istinshaq in fasting, it will reach our throat or go down. Maybe not. But we try our best to stay away from it. The second is al-qubla liman taharraka aw tuharriku shahwatahu. To kiss one's wife, and if the wife is the same as the husband, to kiss one's husband, for those whose desires are aroused by it. The same also, the same principle. If it's going to lead to haram, then don't do it. If you don't know how to press the brake, don't do it. If you know how to press the brake, do it. But if you don't, and we have those were mentioned, the two people, one of them the Prophet allowed and the other didn't allow. And also Aisha said that the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss while he was fasting, and he used to be more in control of his desires than you. Number 3 of the makruhat is to swallow one's own phlegm. Why? Because it goes to the stomach. Makruh, not haram, makruh. We're talking about makruhat. Number 4, to taste food without a need. If there is a need, it's permissible to taste food, but you have to spit it out. One of the brothers last week, I think, asked me about chewing gum, Chewing gum. And the chewing gum, of course, has flavor. So you have to be careful that when you're chewing gum, you will swallow that. So it's not correct to chew gum. In addition to the fact that people, when they see you chewing, they don't normally think you're chewing gum. They will say, brother, are you chewing gum or are you eating some meat? So this is not good for a Muslim to make himself in a position where people think that while Ramadan is going, he's eating stuff. Another chapter we have very quickly is في القضاء والصيام المستحب وما يكره ويحرم من الصيام وفيه مسائل. In qada, when we missed some fasting in Ramadan, how do we compensate? And the fasting that is preferable and what is disliked to fast, which times and days, and what is disliked from fasting. And we have some issues here. The first one is qada'u siyam. So here we have إذا أفطر المسلم يوما من رمضان بغير عذر, if he has no excuse, وجب عليه أن يتوب إلى الله. يعني someone broke the fast without an excuse. He must first of all do tawbah, repent, ويستغفره, and do istighfar, ask for forgiveness sincerely. لأن ذلك جرم عظيم, because this is a great crime. That's why, we have, of course, here the school system doesn't encourage the Muslim kids to respect it. They say, oh, we have PE. You can't fast tomorrow. PE 30 minutes. We're supposed to break 18-hour fast. No, they will not listen to you. You don't want to bring your kids, we'll write something for the council. You may be even imprisoned. Then brothers are telling us, you can practice your deen here, mashallah. Yeah, you can practice as long as you don't have PE. As soon as you have PE, no deen. And what's PE to do with the siyam? What's PE? Just running around, being stupid. Mashallah, because of that, you're teaching the kids to break the fast. It's not good. Because they grow like this. They don't respect. A lot of kids sometimes, I see near my house some young brothers, Muslims, smoking, maybe even eating, swearing. It's not nice. This you don't see in Muslim countries, I guarantee you, brothers. Even the one who wants to swear and stuff, he doesn't do it in front of people. And the one who wants to smoke pot, which I can smell, and to smoke hashish, he will not do it in front of people. Especially in Ramadan. Yani in Muslim countries, the one who wants to smoke hashish outside of Ramadan, he will not do it in front of people. He's shy. Yani he doesn't want to be known. Someone who is stingy in Muslim countries doesn't want to be known. He tries to be generous just to show off that he's generous. But here, everything goes. A'udhu billah. So it's not correct. Yani, if you can, of course, try to do something about your kids fasting when they have PE, but otherwise, they will not leave you alone. They may even imprison you. So it's a great crime, munkar kabir. This is big something. And that's what we need to do in our own selves and our children. That breaking fast in Ramadan is not something that is easy. So we have to do that. ويجب عليه مع التوبة والاستغفار القضاء. So after tawbah istighfar must compensate بقدر ما أفطر بعد رمضان. After Ramadan must compensate. ووجوب القضاء هنا على الفور على الصحيح. The scholars differed. Should he do qada in this particular case when he doesn't have an excuse? Should he do qada quickly or he has a choice? So they chose, the authors of this book chose that the correct opinion, he should try and do as fast as possible. And this is correct. Because you don't you don't do haram and then say, mashallah, I can relax now. Ramadan is over. It's not correct. You should feel some bad. Quickly compensate in front of Allah. أما إذا أفطر بعذر كحيض أو نفاس أو مرض أو سفر أو غير ذلك من الأعذار المبيحة للفطر فإنه يجب عليه القضاء. As for the person who broke the fast with an excuse, like ladies who have menstruation cycle or postnatal bleeding, or a person who was sick or traveling, or others that will allow him to break the fast during the daytime of Ramadan, then of course he must compensate, meaning qada, fast after Ramadan. غير أنه لا يجب على الفور. Unlike the first case, it's not obligatory for him or her to fast straight away. Because Allah said in the Quran, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. So a number of days, meaning after Ramadan, which you can do. بل على التراخي, so he can delay it إلى رمضان الآخر. He can delay until next Ramadan, meaning he should do it before the next Ramadan. Why the ulama talk about the next Ramadan? Because if you keep delaying and delaying and delaying until the next Ramadan goes, then it becomes hard for you to compensate psychologically, not physically. Physically, maybe you can do. And your body can do, no problem. But psychologically, if someone said, stand all night in salah, you say, A'udhu Billah, what's this? Your body can do it, but psychologically you're not used to it. Or someone say, can you go without water for 18 hours before you fast? You know, people will say, no, I can't. I have to drink something. But alhamdulillah, our children even do it. So psychologically, it's very important that you don't delay beyond the next Ramadan. Some ulama said, if you delay, you must pay fidya as well. Some said, no, you must not. But in any case, it's better not to delay. Siyam mustahab. Yani fasting that is preferable. And as we know, that the 6 days of Shawwal, which is the month after Ramadan, and the Prophet ﷺ said, who fasted Ramadan, then followed it up with 6 from Shawwal, it is like the fasting of the whole time. We sometimes get a question around Shawwal fasting, which is, I have some fasting of Ramadan, but I want to fast Shawwal. We say compensate for Ramadan, then fast Shawwal. It's better. Some ulama said you can fast Shawwal, then compensate Ramadan because the time will go. If you're not able to compensate, okay, you can do, but try to compensate of Ramadan and then do Shawwal. The fasting of the day of Arafah for those who are not in Hajj. Third, the fasting of the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram. Fourth, the fasting of Mondays and Thursdays every week. And also fasting 3 days from every month. All of these we have hadith for. And also fasting a day and breaking the fast another day, which the Prophet ﷺ said is the best fasting. To fast as much as possible in Muharram. To fast the 9 days of Dhul Hijjah because the 10th is Eid. It's haram to fast on Eid as far as I know by ijma' of ulama. So these are the mustahab. Which ones are disliked? Number 1, to deliberately fast Rajab, because that's what they used to do before Islam, the month of Rajab. Secondly, it's disliked to only fast on Friday alone, unless it happens to fall on a Friday, your regular fasting. For example, you choose one day a month and you fast that day, 15th, 16th. You can't fast any other day, and it falls on a Friday. In that case, it's allowed. But generally, to deliberately do it, the hadith says not to fast on Friday, except if you fast one day before, which is Thursday and Friday with it, or Friday and Saturday. Also, it's disliked to fast only Saturday alone. No. And of course, we've just seen the hadith. If you put it to Friday, it's okay. And if a Saturday falls on a good day like Arafah, day of Arafah, Ashura, and so on, it's no problem to fast. Also, to fast the 30th of Sha'ban, which is Yawm al-Shak, the day of doubt. Also, to fast, it's haram to fast Eid. And it's disliked, very disliked, to fast the days of Tashriq. So the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is Eid, 11, 12, 13 are the days of Tashriq. Tashriq because they used to dry the meat that was slaughtered to be able to store it, because they didn't have fridges and things like this. So the best way to store the meat was to make it dry, and those days the Prophet ﷺ said are the days of akal, shurb wa dhikrillah, eating and drinking and remembering Allah. And since we're in the last 10 nights, I will go through i'tikaf as well. So the first issue is i'tikaf means to stay somewhere for a long time. In the Sharia, it means to stay in the masjid some time. We will look at the length of time of i'tikaf for the sake of worshipping Allah and obeying Allah, meaning getting close to Him. Of course, it's from the sunnah to do i'tikaf. And Allah said, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. And also he said, al-akifin, Allah mentioned akifin in the Quran. Yani akifin are those who stay in the masjid long time. Because ukuf in Arabic means to stay somewhere for a long time, not a short time. So do not have intercourse with them while you are doing i'tikaf in the mosques. And Allah said, Antahira, addressing Ibrahim and Ismail, we ordered them to purify my house for those who do tawaf, and akifin meaning stay, or ruk'a sujud, those who do ruku' and sujud. Naam. So this akifin shows that even in the time of Ibrahim Ismail, people were encouraged to spend time in the place of worship in the masjid, not only in our ummah. And of course we have the sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ used to do i'tikaf, 10 last nights, 10 last days. And in the year when he died, he did it 20 nights, not only 10. So this hadith shows that you're allowed to do more than 10 if you want. The second issue is shurutul i'tikaf, conditions of i'tikaf. The first one is that you must be a Muslim. Mumayyiz means that you must have reached the age where you differentiate between things. Aqil meaning you're not majnoon, someone who lost his mind, or someone who loses it part-time or full-time, or someone who is in a coma, yani he doesn't understand what's going on. As for being baligh, it's not a condition. Baligh, when you reach puberty, or that it must be a male. It's permissible for females to do i'tikaf with the condition that they are allowed by their male guardian, because males are in charge of women, whoever doesn't like it. Now, Allah said it, so if you don't like that, you don't like what Allah said. Allah said it in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةً, that the rijal have a daraja, a degree above them. Now we have people who I call apologists. They apologize for everything. Sorry about this. Sorry that rijal daraja. They come and say, no, daraja, the degree doesn't mean they are in charge. Means they are servants of the women. Yahi, since when the servant has become daraja? When you go travel, anyone who knows Arabic, when you travel by plane, we travel economy class. There is one called first class. Do you know what it's called in Arabic? Ad-darajatul ula. So someone say, brother, we give you daraja ula for no cost. Say, a'udhu billah, with servants? No one is going to say that. Since when is daraja means servant? You serve the lady and that's why... It's not, it goes against everything. Lugha, because he's scared of his own wife, so he wants everyone to be scared. He can't even say this ayah in front of his wife. So we shouldn't. When we reach it in Taraweeh, we should avoid it. Yani according to some people. When we reach certain ayat, we avoid and go to the next ayah. MashaAllah, very good. Yani what deen is going to remain? Another ayah we have in Surah An-Nisa. Ar-rijal qawwamun ala nisa. That the men are qawwam. Qawwam means, look in any tafsir. What qawwam means. Look in the language of Arabic, what qawwam means. Qawwam, someone in charge. Someone, they said, ya'mur wa yanha. Tells to do, not to do. Yurabbi. Yani yurabbi means, he says, don't do this. This is not good tarbiyah. This is not good akhlaq. This is not good manners. So that is qawwam. Not qawwam, is like someone said in Arabic, hammal zabbal. Yani we of course serve the women. Yani we have an obligation to serve our wives. We have an obligation to look after our wives and serve our mothers and sisters and so on, of course. But we are in charge. Doesn't mean we don't serve. But if we say, after consulting everyone, this is it. That's it, no revolutions. We don't need revolutions. Most divorce in the world, not only in the Islamic world, but I know because I deal with a lot of divorce situations, happens because they want a revolution. They want the man not to be, let's remove it and make ourselves and things like this. Some even brothers say to me, when you talk about يعني تعدد, you can't mention it. Some sheikhs, when they talk, they say, a lady is listening. You say, sheikhs, there's some ladies say, okay, we'll talk later, inshallah. We'll talk later. Why? It's not from the deen. Why? Because scared. يعني maybe the ladies will not listen to him anymore after that. Because who are the ones watching at home all the channels? Ladies. So if you keep saying, it's from the deen to marry and stuff, say, A'udhu Billah, this sheikh is nasty. He's encouraging my husband to get married again. And I've spent 20 years telling him he shouldn't do it. And brothers, when you go to their houses, say, brother, can I speak freely or not? They say, no, don't use coded language, like gold and silver. Gold is the first one, alhamdulillah. Silver is the second one. So we talk about jewelry. Yani we've reached that kind of, and then people say you have to free Palestine. Ma shaykh, you can't free yourself. How are you going to free Palestine? You can't free yourself. That's why Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah used to say, you couldn't do khuruj against your wife. How are you going to do khuruj on the ruler? Which is not from the deen, of course. So we are establishing a fact. If you're a believing woman, you must love what Allah said, that the man is in charge. So that's the first condition of i'tikaf for the lady, and that is that she must be permitted to do so by her male guardian, brother, father, husband. If he says no, that's it, haram. Because he knows better. You know, Ikhwan, generally, why did Allah say to the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Al-Ahzab, يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. He didn't say to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, get covered in hijab, the ayah of hijab. Because the man is the one who knows what the man looks at in a woman. The woman doesn't know it. Women say, what if I dress short and my ear is shown and my neck, mashallah, no problem. But the man knows. So the man is the one who should, Allah said, oh Prophet, Ya Yuhan Nabi, tell your wives and your daughters and the believing women to cover themselves, to bring the jilbab, jalabib, close to their faces and close so that they are not seen. ذَلِكَ أَدْنَا أَنْ يُعْرَفْنَا فَلَا يُؤْذَيْنَ. This is closer that they are known that they are good ladies and no one starts chatting to them. They will not be harmed. So Allah didn't say to women, cover yourselves. No. He said, the Prophet ﷺ, tell everyone. And that's our job. This is to protect ourselves and our families. So now is Eid season. People are shopping around for jilbab. Most of the jilbab in the market is rubbish, sorry to say. I know jilbab shops. They bring it from Dubai. I lived there. All the world is bringing from Dubai. And Dubai, what do? يعني the shops, they try to tailor it according to the ladies, not according to the men. Oh, I want this beautiful thing here, mashallah, it will be very good. Gold thing and like a football kit. يعني around here and there and on the sleeves, and make it colorful and make it like this and make it very sparkly so you can't even look at it. يعني it's not correct. It's not correct because Allah said, Kullu zina, every zina. He said it in Surah Al-Nur and He said it in Surah Al-Ahzab. Zina means beautification. Some people say, no, Allah never said it. Where did you take it from, brother? We say, read Quran. This is Shahr al-Quran. In the Quran, Allah said zina, zina. Zina means what? Beauty. It beautifies the woman. Outside, she can't wear it. Inside, she should beautify to the husband. But we have another way. Inside, she's wahsh. You know what wahsh means in Arabic? Monster. Hair going there and stuff going everywhere. When she goes outside, mashallah, very good. She spends 1 hour in front of the mirror. It's not correct. She should spend 1 hour in front of the mirror for the husband. So he doesn't remember which day of the week it is. Where he is anyway. That's how a clever woman does. And the same applies to the man. But you know, the man's beautification is 1 second. Let me brush my hair and khalas, alhamdulillah. He looks very handsome. If he does his hair. But lady is different. That's why Allah called them man yunasha'u fil hilya or man yansha'u fil hilya in the other qira'ah. Whoever is grown up or brought up in hilya, yani in beauty. We try to beautify the girls and make them nice and buy them earrings and stuff and they look nice. But the boys, no, the boys destroy everything. They're weapons of mass destruction. We try to stop them from destroying stuff. That's the thing we're trying to do as parents. But girls, you know, very quiet, very this and very that, with few exceptions. So they grow up in hilya, in beauty, yani in these decorations we buy for them and we beautify them, earrings, rings and stuff like this. So for that reason, Eid season is upon us. Please do not allow your wives and your daughters to buy abaya, especially, ikhwan, you know, Eid Salah. They say Eid Salah in the park, in the masjid. We have a huge number of men coming to Eid Salah. They say for Eid we must dress beautiful, the women. Because we are supposed to dress, you know, for Eid we have to wear the best clothes. Of course, this is for the men. For the women, the best clothes doesn't mean you should go to in front of all the men looking beautiful and attracting attention. Look at me, I'm so beautiful. And the worse than that is the man, the husband, walking next to her and being very happy. It's not correct then. When one of the Sahaba said, Sa'ad bin Ubadah radiallahu anhu, if I find someone with my wife, I will surely kill him. The Sahaba were shocked and the Prophet said, you أتعجبون من غيرة سعد? You are surprised at the jealousy of Sa'ad? I am more jealous than Sa'ad, he said. The Prophet ﷺ, more jealous than Sa'ad. Umar used to tell the Prophet ﷺ, before hijab was made obligatory, أحجب نساءك. Umar was like this. Cover your women, cover your wives. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has more أكثر غير أو أغير مني. Allah has more jealousy than me. It's not correct for a Muslim man to see his wife or daughter or sister or mother walking around beautified and everyone looking and he doesn't feel anything. It's not correct. That's the thing that some people are trying to tell us. That it's good, no problem, alhamdulillah, don't make problems. It's not correct. طيب. So one of the conditions for the lady is that. The second is there is no fitna for men. Because as you know, I've said many times, women are like, they're hunted. Yani, oh, there's a woman doing i'tikaf, mashallah. Let's say salam. How are you doing, sister? Mashallah. I'tikaf going, mashallah. Good. Yani shaitan works very like a alim. Yani. Say, you know, salam, very good. You help. So in this case, very dangerous. So there is no fitna, no men saying salam. Today I was with my wife in some shop. One security guard came running and my wife was talking to a lady. So he came running and said, Assalamu alaikum sisters. I said, A'udhu billah, who's this guy? We don't know him. The sister, the second sister even doesn't know him. He's very friendly. Maybe he thinks the last 10 days you have to be friendly with women or something. So I said to my wife, let's go. We don't need salam from this guy. Yani because everything the ulama say starts from salam. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? MashaAllah. Very good. I'tikaf. Naam. And it finishes with bad things. So that's the second condition. And for all men and women is the intention. And third condition that it must be in the masjid. It's not correct for a lady to do it in her house, as some people said. Some ulama even said, because Allah said, fil masajid. The fourth condition is that it must be a masjid that has jama'ah, congregation. And better if it has Jum'ah, Friday prayer, so that the person doesn't have to leave. The fifth condition is not to have hadath akbar. Yani not to be junub. Not to be in the state of impurity. And not to be in the state of menstruation or postnatal bleeding, because this is not allowed for them to stay in the masjid. The scholars differed, is it a condition for i'tikaf to be accompanied by fasting during the day? It's not a condition, even though many stipulated, including Aisha radiallahu anha, because we have a hadith of Umar who said to the Prophet ﷺ, I gave a vow to do i'tikaf in the Masjid al-Haram, in the sacred masjid, for one day, and he allowed him. And we don't know that he did any siyam. Allahu A'lam. The third issue is the time of i'tikaf and mustahabbat of i'tikaf. What is preferable and what is allowed for the mu'takif, the person doing i'tikaf. أولا زمن الاعتكاف ووقته. So it is one of the arkan of i'tikaf, because of the definition of i'tikaf, ukuf, to stay some time. And it's not correct to say that there is some minimum, even though very, very minimum, like some people say, even a few minutes is not correct, because ukuf in Arabic doesn't mean a few minutes. It has to be long time, at least a day or at least some hours of the day. And many ulama said a day and a night. So if you can't do 10 days or 10 nights, you can do 1 or 2 as much as you can. And of course the best time of that is أفضل أوقات الاعتكاف العشر الأواخر من رمضان. The last 10 days or the last 10 nights of Ramadan, because the Prophet ﷺ used to do it. The ulama differed. When does the mu'takif enter his mu'takaf? Yani mu'takif is the one who is doing i'tikaf. Mu'takaf is the place of his i'tikaf, generally the masjid. So he's allowed to leave that private area that sometimes the mosques, they either put a curtain or they may have a small tent that can be removed for prayers. So that is called also mu'takaf, but it's a private area. So the whole of the masjid is his mu'takaf, place of i'tikaf. He can go around it and do what he wants, as long as he doesn't leave the masjid. Unless he is forced. For example, he doesn't have any food, there's no facility in the masjid to eat, and he has to get it from somewhere. In that case, he's allowed to do that. Or he wants to get a shower and there's no facility in the masjid, he can do that as well. Change of clothes, for example, he doesn't have it, he's allowed to go. And if he has to go home to do that, he's not allowed, of course, to do anything else. He has to do that and come back. So the scholars differed in relation to the time. When does the person enter his mu'takaf, his place in this masjid, in a masjid, for example? Some said that the maghrib of the night of the first night, yani for example, the maghrib of the 21st night, which is from the 20th to the 21st of Ramadan. And some said from the fajr of that, yani of that day, because we have in Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ prayed fajr and then he entered i'tikaf. And those others, they said he entered i'tikaf not because it's the 10, it's because he was doing it before, like the fajr of the 20th. And so he had the whole day before maghrib. Because why they said it? They say that the night in Islam starts from maghrib. And that's why Allah said, ثم أتم الصيام إلى الليل. So layl means maghrib, يعني until maghrib you must fast. So it's an issue of difference. If you're not sure, then pray the Fajr of the 20th, for example, and enter your place of i'tikaf. Mustahab, of course, the soul, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said, the soul and the meaning of i'tikaf is that your heart and your mind, they are directed towards Allah. So even if you have visitors, you're allowed to have visitors, and you're allowed for the wife to come to the masjid, and you then talk to her, yani, either near the masjid or around the masjid, and you can see her off but not too far. The i'tikaf is not spent by just talking, because the actual spirit of i'tikaf is for us to try and gain reward, read more Quran, maybe revise, if you remember the Quran, revise Quran, maybe do khatma every 3 days if you can, or every day. Many ulama allowed it because they said the hadith that says not to read it in less than 3 days, the whole of the Quran, which we call khatma in Arabic, doesn't apply to those days and nights like Ramadan or good days like the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah and so on. So if you want to complete the Quran in 1 day, because if we imagine, ikhwan, one juz, you can, if you read fast, you can read maybe 15 minutes, if you know how to read. But if you read less than, a little bit slower, 20 minutes. So in 1 hour you read 3 juz, correct? If you read 20 minutes. Let's multiply that by 10, you get 10 hours. So it's possible to complete in 1 day, but that is one thing that the person can do, or do dhikr, do dua, do salah, if he wants to, more salah, more prayer, tawbah, istighfar, all these things are important. And of course we have the mobile, sometimes it can be a problem, so it's okay if you can live without it, to leave it if you can, if it's not urgent, especially if you're doing it for a few days. I think if you leave the mobile, you might have the best time of your life, maybe. Number 3 is ما يباح للمعتكف. What is permissible for the mu'takif? Like I said, to eat, drink, for that you are allowed to leave. For the toilet, if there are no facilities, wudu or ghusl, if there is no facility, generally, alhamdulillah, masajid they have. But in Muslim countries, most of the time you'll find that the wudu area will not be attached to the masjid, it will be separate. So he's allowed to go to the wudu area and come back, if that's the case. And of course, يباح له التحدث إلى الناس فيما يفيد. It's allowed to speak to people in what is faida, useful. والسؤال عن أحوالهم. Like to ask, how are you doing? How is your study, work going? How's your family? Someone was sick, someone was, and so on. أما التحدث فيما لا يفيد. As for speaking about things that are not beneficial, وفيما لا ضرورة فيه, which is not necessary really. Not to mention, of course, haram, because we're talking about halal now. Haram is haram at all times, especially in i'tikaf, like ghiba, namima, and so on, backbiting people. فإنه ينافي مقصود الاعتكاف وما شرع من أجله, because it goes against the spirit of i'tikaf. And I mentioned about his family and relatives that it's permissible for them to visit him and stay with him for a while and to see them off, because the Prophet ﷺ, saw her off to her house, and her house was not far. And of course, when you're doing i'tikaf, ikhwan, you eat and drink and so on in the masjid, but you must look after the cleanliness of the masjid. So after the i'tikaf, we don't have rats doing i'tikaf with you. Okay, so we look after the masjid. We don't become like some people, some religions, who feed everyone, including rats and mice. And these are against the cleanliness, of course. And we should also be aware of people attending the masjid. Because we have 5 prayers. So I'm doing i'tikaf, so you be quiet. We can't behave like this. No, we have to look after the people who come, lower our voices. If we read Quran, also read it in a low voice if possible. And finally, what makes i'tikaf batil? يبطل الاعتكاف أو يبطل الاعتكاف بما يلي. First of all, الخروج من المسجد لغير حاجة عمدا. To leave the masjid without a need, deliberately, meaning remembering that you're in i'tikaf. If you forgot and you left the masjid, you went somewhere and you came back and you remembered, then it doesn't do anything to the i'tikaf. Secondly, al-jima', and that is having sexual intercourse, is not allowed because Allah said, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَأَنْتُمْ عَاكِفُونَ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. وَالْمُبَاشَرَةُ هُنَا الْجِمَاعَ. While you're doing i'tikaf in the masajid, you are not allowed to have intimate relations with your wives. وفي حكمه الإنزال بشهوة بدون جماع كالاستمناء ومباشرة الزوجة في غير الفرج. The same applies to kissing and other things that can cause the person to ejaculate. Number 3, to lose one's mind. So for example, if someone gets drunk, because that makes the person's mind to go away, which people pay a lot of money for, especially on a Friday, that is not allowed. That meaning invalidates the i'tikaf, and the same applies to junun. Yani sometimes some people are not majnun, yani not mad, you can say, or not mentally impaired, but they become so during that time. The 4th is menstruation and al-hayd wal-nifas and postnatal bleeding. And the 5th is ridda. Ridda means the person, iyadhan billah, leaving Islam, because Allah said, as you know in Surah Al-Zumar, لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ. He said it to the Prophet ﷺ, that it's been revealed unto you and those before you, that if you do shirk and kufr are synonymous in Islam. So shirk means you make someone equal to Allah, and also it means that the person disbelieves in Allah, because the scholars said when he does shirk in that case, he actually has followed his opinion or desire or opinions of others, and he made that opinion the same as the book of Allah and the Sunnah. And inshallah, next time I think we have one more lesson left. We'll talk about Zakatul Fitr and Ahkamul Eid, inshallah, since it will be closer to that. So if you have any questions and I can answer them, you're very welcome. Otherwise, we will inshallah finish. Yes, brother. Yeah, like I said, it depends. For example, for me to go to the masjid may take 5-10 minutes, for example. So do I eat in the car? It's not possible. I have to drive and, so then you have to stop. Before you leave the house, you have to get dressed. So that's another 5 minutes maybe. So you have to look at that. And if you go into the masjid for Jama'ah of Fajr, then that may take. And if the Jama'ah of Fajr is quite later than the Adhan, then it's possible to stay eating until almost the time. Then in that case it's possible, but not to make it too close, so that you don't make it a habit to eat into the day. It's not correct. No.
Just follow-up question. The hadith about the 50
Yeah, that's how it looks, because between the suhoor and the time of iqamah, it would be 50 ayat. Allah alam, it looks like the eating, but Allah said anyway, eat and drink until Fajr. So we eat and drink until Fajr, but we consider other things. Like I said, not to get used to 5 minutes before Fajr I get up. What suhoor am I going to have? Nothing almost. So maybe half an hour before Fajr or 40 minutes, depending if you're cooking or you're just reheating or you're eating it cold or you're just having some dates. It depends. So if you're having some dates, no problem. You can wake up 5 minutes and if you can chew within 2 minutes, alhamdulillah. So depends on the yes, brother.
Can you use toothpaste during the daytime?
My personal opinion, try not to use. Why? Because maybe some of it will go down.
Okay, but I mean, when you wake up in the Fajr, or I mean, like 6 in the morning, or 7, and then you just spit.
That's daytime. So if you can, if you're scared that there will be a smell, try to rinse everything out. But it's a bit dangerous. Yes, brother.
Qada of fasting, someone might have forgotten how many he has to do.
How many days you mean?
Days, maybe 10, 12. What does he...
Yeah, in issues where we doubt about, for example, how many rak'ah we have prayed, we have a principle. The Prophet ﷺ said, let him take as the basis the smallest number, which he's sure of. So let's say, I'm not sure, did I travel for 10 days or 12 days, or was I sick for 10 days or 12 days, for example? He should take, in this particular case, he should take the greater number. Why? Because if he fasts for 10 and suddenly 2 days he was also sick, the opposite of the salah. Why? Because in salah you're sure of the minimum number because you have to complete it more. And here we may miss some fasts if we go to the minimum number. So we try to take the maximum number. Why? Because this is following the spirit of Islam in not actually exposing your religious practice to doubts. Because as soon as you have a doubt, shaitan will be there. Just like if you're not sure if you have wudu or not, I advise you personally, go and break your wudu in the toilet and do wudu. Because if you don't, after you prayed salah, and shaitan does it to me sometimes, he will say, oh, remember you went to the toilet and you didn't do any wudu. Now I have to repeat everything. Or he comes as soon as you say Allahu Akbar. Oh, you went to the toilet, so you have to leave the whole row. No, alhamdulillah, we don't allow him, we don't give him a chance. We go and do the same applies to fasting. We don't give him a chance to mess us around, and it's better to fast more days if you're not sure. With the intention, of course, Ramadan, not intention of Sunnah or something like this. Brother over there, yes. Because the light is very...
About
sickness, yeah.
People who have blood pressure using the tablets in the morning.
Yeah, if they have to take tablets through the mouth, then they can't fast. Yeah, if they have it forever, of course, it's not their fault. They're sick. If someone says, oh, he doesn't do exercise, you can do exercise all your life. Sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes it doesn't help. Not because you don't do exercise. I know people who walk 1 hour a day every day. Doesn't do anything to them. And the doctors say only 20 minutes a day is enough. They do 1 hour. So sometimes it's not their fault. Even if it's their fault, they're trying to get better. Because now we have a culture of brothers who go to the gym and flash their muscles and stuff and go around, and they say as soon as they see someone 100 grams overweight, they say, A'udhu billah, brother, you should reduce and you should leave Coke and 7-Up and this is killing you. One brother said, I said to him, brother, you drink 7-Up? He said, I don't drink paint. Paint? A'udhu billah, I'm not offering you paint. How can you call this drink you don't like, don't drink. We don't make it haram. So some people are not, we have to look, of course, but do you really think that, when, for example, Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan, the first person they say did khutbah sitting down is Muawiyah, because his belly was very big. Did anyone come and say, Muawiyah, why don't you lose weight? We're not saying you shouldn't lose weight. Lose weight, no problem. And be healthy and stuff, but don't look down on your brother because he's not as slim as you, and you go to the gym and you stand in front of the mirror for an hour and so on and so forth. That's not correct. So a person who has high blood pressure and they have to take tablets, then of course they can't fast because they have to, tablets are tablets. You can't really fast through with that. Yes, brother. And they should do fidya. Yani if it's not curable, they should do fidya. Yeah. Unfortunately, they're the majority. Yes. How do you avoid looking at them or being with them?
Because they come to the house, the family.
No, you try to be nice to them, but you try to advise somehow, because there's never a good time to advise, Juan. Some people say you should advise in a good way. They will say, even Eid, you advising us? Even Eid. Eid is for being happy, not being sad. So keep quiet. Okay, Eid, we are quiet. Then they came another time, they say, just give us time, there's never good time. So you try. If you can do by speaking, by saying, by something, because you will get beaten, not beaten literally, but you will get some stick anyway. So you try, because this is the jihad. The jihad of modern time is to try and advise. It's not easy because they will say this guy is majnoon, mutashaddid. He wants everyone not to have a life. Let them have fun. Why are you stopping everything? Everything is haram, brother. Like one brother said to me, with you everything is haram and bid'ah. That's the two words you love. Haram bid'ah. So they want the sheikh to say, this is halal. MashaAllah, very good, halal. Like one man said to Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen was in hospital, and this I heard from Sheikh Sadhan. And some person who knew the Sheikh saw him in hospital. So he said, Sheikh Salamat, what's going on? May Allah protect you. He said in Arabic, Uhallil sukkar, which means I'm making tests for diabetes. But he thought, I'm making sukkar halal. I'm making sugar halal. He said, Sheikh, نحن عارفين أن سكر halal. We know sukkar is halal. Sheikh didn't know, in case, mashallah, he's teaching him. شوف شيء آخر وحلله. He said, look something else and make it halal. We know sugar already halal. Make other things halal for us. So this is very important for us to be Muslim, and that is to look what Allah said and then implement, not to do what we want and then look for a fatwa. And this is not easy to do, it requires, but when you are used to that, then it becomes easy. Just like prayer, just like fasting. So you try, what can you do? May Allah help all of us. Jazakumullah khaira. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.